What up, though? Berta Bell, the woman who coined lowrider in 1955. This is from the YouTube channel Incense Nash Trays. Incense Nash Trays. Berta Bell, the woman who coined lowrider in 1955. Berta Bell, the woman who coined lowrider in 1955. In this powerful, never before seen interview, Berta Bell, the lady who claims to have coined the term lowrider back in 1955, finally breaks her silence after 70 years. She shares the real story behind the word, the cultural context, and her personal memories from that era. And this on the screen is the sister Berta Bell, Lowrider's hidden origin story. I took some notes, wrote down some quotes while watching again Berta Bell, the woman who coined lowrider in 1955, on the YouTube channel Incense Nash Trays. A few quotes. She says, "I'm Berta Bell, Los Angeles, California. Been in Los Angeles, California for 84 years. I came from Louisiana when I was 3 years old, and I've been here ever since. My father had old cars. He had 38 Chevys, and we used to ride all the time." "Who is Charles Red Bell?" She answered, "My husband, Big Red. He was amazing. He had so many friends. He worked on a lot of people's cars, the original lowriders. He showed them how to fix their cars because they didn't know how. They didn't know anything about it, fixing on cars. My mother-in-law let them all come in. She never turned anyone away." She's speaking of all their friends, all of Big Red's friends. She said his mother never turned him away. It really started in 1953, when I met my husband, Mr. Bell, Big Red. It started off with bicycles, then motorbikes to cars. And he showed the original lowriders that started with us how to fix their cars. They didn't know how. "Were there any Mexicans or Latin Americans in the car riding crews?" She answered, "The only one that was around was my mother-in-law's boyfriend at the time. Him and his brother was in jukebox service, Albert Casillas. He the only one that was around. About 1958. Albert mostly worked on jukeboxes." "Was it an all-black community at the time?" "Yes, all black community, or properly, all American community." "Who came up with the term lowrider? Because remember, there's no such thing as a black human. So it's an American community, an American Indian community. Or if you want to be more specific, you got to ask Miss Berta Bell, from Louisiana, born in Louisiana, what her people called her. Who came up with the term lowrider? Berta Bell said, "I did. I came up with it. I came up with the name. When I first met my husband, he was sitting real low. I thought he was short like me, but when he got out the car, he was tall, 6'4". She said, damn, he's tall. One night while out riding, they all said, we got to come up with something to call ourselves. I say, well, hold it. Wait a minute. We always riding and sitting low. And that's how lowriders came. That was in 1955, Los Angeles, California, right on 53rd and Ascot. This is from NPR. March 18th, 2024. This was on Morning Edition by Iman Mani. The history of lowrider culture and its multi-generational reach. The history of lowrider culture and its multi-generational reach. Now, from the title, one would expect that Berta Bell would be a prominent figure in this article or on this Morning Edition on NPR. Let's see if they hollered at Berta Bell, who came up with the name Lowrider Lowrider. Okay. Remember, she said it was 1955. She said that was in 1955. She said, I say, well, hold it. Wait a minute. We always riding and sitting low. And that's how lowriders came. That was in 1955, Los Angeles, California, right on 53rd and Ascot. 1955. Dates are important. Remember the dates. So here we go. In the mid 20th century in Southern California, colorful painted cars, classic cars would cruise the boulevards from Cadillac Eldorados to Chevy Impalas. These lowriders were rolling art installations with chrome rims and white wall tires, with the cars meant to be driven low and slow as they hugged the pavement, set on hydraulics. Also in the interview with Miss Berta Bell, she spoke about hydraulics and said they didn't use hydraulics. Her husband, Big Red, didn't fix the cars up with hydraulics in order to make them sit low. It was another process that he did, but it wasn't hydraulics. Set on hydraulics, the cars would be able to, in the flip of a switch, become low riders. 1 second, and street legal vehicles the next. Over the decades, laws in many California cities prohibited people from low riding due to the fostered stereotypes that associated cruising with gang violence. In 1958, remember, Berta Bell said she came up with the name lowrider, or they riding low. In 1955 is what she said. In 1958, the enactment of Section 24008 of the California Vehicle Code banned modifying cars so that the frame would be lower than the bottom of its wheel rims. So in 1958, a statute, I guess you would call it a statute, came out that banned modifying cars so that the frame would be lower than the bottom of its wheel rims. Now, how can someone ban you from doing what you want to do with your car, especially something cosmetic like that? Well, these people claim to own the roads, hence vehicle registration, driver's licenses, insurance, seat belt laws, right? I know. Quite disgusting. Again, you're being you're given fees for traveling on planet Earth. How disgusting is that? So in 1958, the enactment of Section 24008 of the California Vehicle Code banned modifying cars so that the frame would sit low. Let's go. Last year, California signed a bill to prohibit bans and anti cruising ordinances that many felt targeted Mexican Americans. Since the enactment of the new law on January 1st, lowriders across the state can cruise without the fear of being cited or towed. January 1st in what year? Let's go back for a second. This is 2024. We'll see towards the end if this was really this show really was aired, and this show really aired in 2024. But it did say last year California signed a bill to prohibit bans and anti-cruising. So from 1958 to 2023, California signed a bill to prohibit bans and anti-cruising ordinances that many felt targeted Mexican Americans. Since the enactment of the new law on January 1st, lowriders across the state can cruise without the fear of being cited or towed. Now, why would people feel like it targeted Mexican Americans? Fernando Perez, also known as Birdman, is a lowrider enthusiast. He owns a Marina Blue 66 Chevy Caprice. For Perez, lowriding is a way of life. It's what I know. It's how I am, how we are, the way I dress, the way I walk, the way I talk, the way I look, Perez told Morning Edition. Cesar Ibarra, a lowrider enthusiast as well, agrees. It's not a hobby for me. It's my lifestyle. I grew up into this. Ibarra believes lowriding culture will only continue to grow. It's a family thing. I got 2 daughters. My youngest daughter loves it. She's also looking for a car to follow her dad's footsteps, he said. Ibarra said, it's a culture that will continue to grow. He said it's a family thing. And then Fernando Perez says, it's what I know. It's how I am, how we are, the way I dress, the way I walk, the way I talk, the way I look. You would think that Mexicans actually, or the people who we term Mexicans today, let's just say that. You would think they started low riding. They said it's a cultural thing. Denise Sandoval is a professor. Here we go with the professors now, the experts. Denise Sandoval is a professor of Chicana and Chicano studies at California State. Chicana and Chicano studies at California State. I'm not going to even get into what that is. I don't even know what that is. I don't know what a Chicana or a Chicano is. I have no idea. Maybe someone can enlighten me, because I don't want to look it up. I don't want to research it. Okay? Just like I don't want to research African American. But Denise Sandoval, a professor of Chicano and Chicana and Chicano, girl and boy of some race or another, studies at some Easter Bunny Tooth Fairy race or something, studies at California State University Northridge. She says low riding is multi-generational, with its culture creating space for the family to celebrate community, to celebrate the culture, to celebrate cultural pride, pride of being Chicano. Miss Denise Sandoval didn't mention Big Red one time. She did not mention Berta Bell, did she? She did not mention. Hold on, man. Hold on for a second, man. Hold on. Let's go back. Let's go back a little bit. Let's go back a little bit now. This is who we talking about, man. Miss Berta Bell. Okay. Louisiana in Los Angeles, California for 84 years. Born in Louisiana, left when she was 3. Louisiana engine. Okay? Louisiana engine. And then Big Red start low riding. It's always an engine. Miss Berta Bell and Big Red. I say, well, hold it. Wait a minute. We always riding and sitting low. And that's how low riders came. That was in 1955. Then in 1958, they made a law to stop the brothers and sisters from doing what they wanted to do on their own soil with their own cars. And then we in 2024. We in 2024. And Miss Sandoval, professor of Chicana and Chicano studies at California State University, she says low riding is multi-generational, with its culture creating space for the family to celebrate community, to celebrate the culture, to celebrate cultural pride, pride of being Chicano, or more accurately, pride of being Berta Bell and Big Red, a part of their crew. But these people wasn't a part of their crew. Because Berta Bell and Big Red was the original lowriders. But we not talking about them. We mentioning culture, but whose culture? Whose culture? Whose culture is this? Whose culture is this? Whose culture? You know what this is starting to sound like? This is starting to read like it's familiar. Foreigners come here to our soil portion, the American soil portion, the only Americans there ever was, is, and will be. The American Indians, home soil, and foreigners come here to take our stuff. They continue to do it. Now, we might say that Mexico is a part of the Americas. That is true. But see, who we're talking about are Chicanos and Chicanas, right? Right? We're not talking about the original people of that soil portion that we call Mexico today. Yes, those people are Americans. Technically. Sandoval adds that lowriding emerged during a time where Mexican American communities faced segregation and racism. Whoa! Ever since the 1800s, Mexican Americans had experienced First of all, there's no such thing as a Mexican American. Okay. You one or the other. And the whole Mexican thing, I don't even want to get into it, had experienced systematic discrimination from illegal deportations to mob violence to school segregation. Damn, in the 1800s, same as it ever was. Sandoval adds that lowriding emerged during a time where Mexican American communities faced segregation and racism. Ever since the 1800s, Mexican Americans had experienced systematic discrimination from illegal deportations to mob violence to school segregation. Despite decades of institutional discrimination, Mexican Americans continue to find ways to culturally and artistically express themselves. Around the 1940s, it was through low riding. She said around the 1940s. But Berta Bell came up with the term, the idea of sitting low and riding in 1955. And Big Red wasn't putting hydraulics in the cars. He was shaking them up another way. Around the 1940s, first of all, do this story sound familiar to you? Do the story sound familiar to you? Sandoval adds that lowriding emerged during a time where Mexican American communities faced segregation and racism ever since where are we? Are we in Mexico? Are we in I don't want to hear about the borders. I know lines on the map. I know the borders and all that is illusory. I understand that. But for the sake of this conversation, you would think we was in the soil portion that's called Mexico right now. They talking about segregation and racism and things of that nature ever since the 1800s. So whose story is this? Around the 1940s, it was through low riding. 1940s? But what they call it? Because Berta Bell called it low riding. It's the one way that communities, particularly working class communities historically, have created space for themselves to not just express how they want to portray their culture, Sandoval said. Sandoval needs to pack up her people and go home. Song Exploder, War, Lowrider. Y'all remember that song? Lowrider, the Lowrider song about war. Episode 271. You're listening to Song Explorer, where musicians take apart their songs and piece by piece tell the story of how they were made. I remember watching the movie Dazed and Confused when I was a sophomore in high school, and the song Lowrider by War came on. And I had the strange moment of feeling like I was hearing the song for the first time. But I'd also already known it my whole life. It's one of my favorite movie music memories. And that song had been around my whole life. To me, it feels like it's part of the architecture of pop culture. The band War formed in 1969, okay? 1969, Berta Bell came up with the term lowriding in 1955. They made a law in 1958 to stop niggas from doing what they wanted to do with their cars and riding how they wanted to ride. The band War formed in 1969 in Long Beach, California. Lowrider is from their 1975 album, Why Can't We Be Friends? Why can't we be friends? Why can't we? Yeah. The song was a hit as soon as it came out. It went to number one on the Billboard R&B charts. And it just had tremendous lasting power ever since. Besides being in Dazed and Confused, where I heard it, it's been sampled by the Beastie Boys. It was covered by Korn, and it was the theme song for all 6 seasons of the George Lopez show. Low Rider. Right, they're associated with the Chicanos and the Chicanas. They really associate that. They really associate Lowrider with them. But definitely the song, what a song. I mean, they associate low riding with essentially foreigners. For this episode, I talked to War's band leader, Lonnie Jordan, and their producer, Jerry Goldstein. The two of them told me how Lowrider was made in the studio through a combination of improvisation and meticulous editing. And if you go, if you go at some point watch the YouTube video of Berta Bell's interview, Berta Bell speaks about one of the people from the band War. I don't know if it was Lonnie or what have you, coming to talk to Big Red, and had a long conversation with her husband, Big Red. And the song came out in 1969. Okay. The band War formed in 1969. Okay. I'm not sure when the song Lowrider came out, but the band formed in 1969. Berta Bell came up with low riding term in 1955. Big Red, they was already riding low before 1955. Okay. My name is Lonnie Jordan. I am the band leader, music coordinator, and keyboard player of War. That's me along with my partner. I'm Jerry Goldstein. I'm War's producer from the beginning. Lonnie say, there were 7 people in the band: Charles Miller, saxophone and vocals on Lowrider, Papa D. Allen on percussion, Harold Brown on drums, B.B. Dickerson on bass, Howard Scott, guitar, Lee Oscar, harmonica. Lonnie said, and we went into the studio and we didn't have a song yet. We weren't really writers. We didn't know nothing. And Jerry knew that. So he just took us in and said, okay, let's see what we can get. Jerry Goldstein says they'd never been in the studio. So I tried to make them as comfortable as possible. Jerry say, and that was all part of it. It's kind of like between myself and the band and the engineer, we were like a 9-piece band, and we all were in it at the same time together, feeling it. Lonnie says, creating it from scratch. That was our baby. Lonnie says, so then we came back and say, okay, let's put some real lyrics on. And it just so happened that Charles Miller, our saxophone player at the time, walked in the studio, and he had just parked his Lowrider car outside. He just bought it, Jerry, and we all went out to see it. Lonnie, a 52 Chevy. Ooh, it was nice. Jerry. And I said, you got that lowrider out there? And why don't we write a song about you, about lowriders? And he went out on the mic, and we wrote down everything that we wanted to write about lowriders and the lowrider vibe and the lowrider culture. So I assume they're getting it all from the saxophonist, Charles Miller. I assume they're getting everything about lowriders from Charles Miller because he had a lowrider, is what they're saying. I'm not sure if who who made his car into a lowrider, but Charles Miller had a lowrider. So they saying they learned everything about the lowrider, and I'm guessing they learned it from Charles Miller. But Berta Bell, she says something a little different. But they're not mentioning Berta Bell. They're not mentioning Big Red. But let's see. We wanted to write about lowriders and the lowrider vibe and the lowrider culture. Lonnie, the lowrider culture, the beginning of it all, was happening in Los Angeles, East LA. And we came out with the culture. We came out with a culture, of people, Hispanics and blacks, who shared the same dreams of fixing up a car and seeing who can have the best car, who can drop it the lowest. I mean, it was a crazy scene at the time. He says Hispanics and black dodged a hijack. Literally a hijack, a robbery. Jerry, and then Lonnie said, why don't we try take a little trip? Jerry said, yeah, when I tell people who are younger, who maybe don't know low riding, and I sing the hook, everybody knows that Lonnie, and then they sing low ride Lonnie. The lowrider community, and especially the Hispanic community, they made us. Jerry, we had a huge Mexican-American following and a huge Mexican following because we would play towns like El Paso and get more pesos in the box office than dollars. Okay, here we go. This is from newspapers.com, 1975. Chula Vista. What's this? Chula Vista Star News paper in California. Chula Vista, California. Latin Lowriders, 1975. Okay. By Gary Shaw. Lyrics to Lowrider by War. Hey, dude, what you got those B-78 Remingtons for? What you got those Chrome Supremes for? Those mean-looking skirts, that 8-inch donut. To catch some young ladies, man, says 17-year-old Steve Trujillo of National City. You actually catch ladies with that. Do birds fly? He said, you actually catch ladies with that? Do birds fly? Are you standing here talking to me? You should have come out 2 weeks ago. My car was cherried out fine. Not that Trujillo was any less proud of his fine 1969 Chevy Impala custom, man. But it wasn't the most beautiful color in the world. Sort of a primer green. I'm going to paint it, man. Metal flake brown. It's going to be fine. Lowriders, which refer to the souped-up cars or their drivers, are nothing new to the South Bay. It says lowriders, which refer to the souped-up cars or their drivers. See, up until this point, I'm thinking lowriders suggests you riding low, that your car is low to the ground. Souped up cars or their drivers. Now, 1975, now it's starting to take on now it's starting to mean souped up cars or their drivers. So some stealing is going on. Are nothing new to South Bay, but they've become so prevalent, particularly in the urban Chicano culture. There's that word Chicano again, Chicano culture. Well, brother, you just got to do it. They just look better, says a female Chicano or Chicana. student at Sweetwater High School. It's just a high-class car to me. Orale, which translated from Spanish meaning, all right. As both Trujillo and the girl suggest, the lowrider culture is heavy on machismo. You rarely see, we never heard from Berta, we never heard that machismo stuff because it didn't need to be none. We is who we is. You rarely see a chick working on her lowrider, but the car that a dude puts into his but the care that a dude puts into his car is often second only to his girlfriend. And it's his girlfriend he's trying to impress, her and everyone else. See, don't you listen to me. Newspapers, even though they weren't, this is 1975, mind you. So the newspapers that I get into from the 1800s and the 1700s, true indeed, those newspapers are not politically correct at all. And that's my interest in them. That's the beauty of them. They're not politically correct. But it's 1975 right now. And don't you sense a sort of building of a narrative around low riding? And again, if you go watch the interview with Berta Bell at some point, you'll understand that Berta Bell wasn't speaking about riding low in this way. That's just the way it is, says 18-year-old Miguel Garcia of National City. No car is immune from the creativity of a lowrider. Old Chevys, old Fords, Volkswagens, Toyotas, even vans. It's all up to the ingenuity of the kid who gets his hands on it. Or it's all based on what you can afford. Nevertheless, lowriders, them anyway, nevertheless, lowriders still prefer certain basic cars for modification. Yeah, 76 Continental, says one lowrider. No, man. 78 Cadillacs, man, insists another. You really can't say, explains Sweetwater High School student Bebito Silva, because it depends. You can lift anything all the ways around. Painted pearl, the paint that changes to different colors. One of the finest lowriders to cruise down National City's Highland Ave is 17-year-old Javier Ferrero's 1973 Mercury Montego Broham, custom, complete with chrome Supreme tire rims, chrome shell pipes along the bottom, square headlights, chrome dummy spotlights, 8-inch donut steering wheel, swivel seats built in, blah, 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 blah. Where did he get the $3,000 it cost him to add all that paraphernalia to an already expensive machine? I worked hard for it, says Ferrero, a member of the growing Latin lowrider car club of San Diego. Sounds like a Native American tribe, don't it? See how they do that? Latin lowrider car club of San Diego. How dare they? And again, we haven't heard Berta Bell or Big Red names mentioned once. Why is that? Over here, we always talking about identity theft. We ain't heard Berta Bell and Big Red name once mentioned by none of these low riders, quote, low riders, end quote. But it's no secret, just like the machines and the machismo, some in the lowrider culture are heavy into ripoffs to provide their accessories. One of the, see, they turning it into some bogus now. Do you see how it's changing? Do you see how things are changing? Ripoffs, accessories, paraphernalia. Get what you can get. You see what I'm saying? Latin lowrider car club of San Diego. Latin. I always say they Romans. Let's shake it. One of the Sweetwater High School students promised to sell an 8-track stereo for only $45. Not a bad price considering retailers won't let it go for less than $100. And for a mere sixter of beer, the lowrider promised to install it too. See, listen, man, it's taking a wild turn, man. Where do you get the square headlights? You gotta steal them, one lowrider laughs. Where do you get your $45 stereos? He takes them in Los Angeles. El Cajon, another offers. So now we just talked about all the bogus stuff that's starting to happen, and then now you got, stealing radios for your low riders. It's like Mr. Potato Head. But nah, it's not like that. It's like buying everything from a junkyard and then what you got. However, most lowriders like Ferrero work for their cars and work on them, and most learn to work on them in good old school auto shops like instructor Dono Mayo's class at Sweetwater. How does a 44-year-old goateed teacher relate to the teenage lowrider culture? Now it's a teenage lowrider culture. Lowrider culture. And they mention none of the people who created it. Same as it ever was. It's the same. Foreigners come here to take our stuff. The affection which mutual love of cars creates is obvious, crossing age and cultural barriers. Mayo ponders one lowrider student. He's cool. He knows how to teach. He looks like a goat. Oh man, it's corny. What does he teach? How to change tires, last Steve Trujillo. We've been on the tire changing for 2 months. 2 months? Another lowrider interrupts. What you mean? We've been on tire changing since last year. Sam Tire. Getting serious, Trujillo tries. He teaches all sorts of stuff. All the basics, how to keep your car in shape, tells us how to drive slow here. When he gets in his car, he goes 90 miles an hour. Mayo's been teaching auto mechanics for 13 years and reports that his classes have never been more popular. The fully equipped auto shop is busy all day with 35 students in each class, busy all night with adult school, and still students are turned away for lack of space at the beginning of the semester. The boys in this area are very enthusiastic about owning their own cars and modifying them, Mayo observed. A sharp auto is emphasized as a status symbol. I try to dissuade them from making major mechanical changes that would alter the stability of the car. They see the difference between them is that they're going to a school, and the school is taking time, and the school is teaching them about, the basics about cars and things like that. But Big Red and his people, Big Red specifically, as Berta Bell said in her interview, Big Red was doing it all himself. They certainly learn a lot in making a car appealing to others. It's probably the only way some people can express themselves. Some of these cars are almost an art form. The classes are broken into 2 sections, fundamentals for beginners and mechanics for advanced students. By the time a student passes the auto mechanics class with good grades, he's learned minor and major tune-ups, major brake overhauls, complete lubrication, tire service and balancing, and some major engine overhaul for superior students. Mayo even teaches students how to put the cars on lifts, a favorite subject for lowriders who don't necessarily ride low. Well, how can you be a low rider? First of all, you can't be a low rider. It's impossible. But how can you be a low rider who don't necessarily ride low? That's not a low rider then, right? I mean, we don't have to put a whole lot of thought into this. Think about it. Low rider. You riding low. Or when we talk about low, is we talking about something else. What's the appeal of low riding? Imagine the macho, the lookers, the lights of Highland Avenue, the dynamite stereo music, knocking off a number with good friends, sliding inches off the street, or flying a couple feet off the ground. Come on, man. This is from Essence. This is from Essence.com. The Disruptors. Tina Blankenship is inspiring women to be lowriders. The head of LA's Supernatural Lowrider says the culture is not just about cars, but also building connection within community. And this is the sister who is the head of LA's Supernatural Lowriders, Tina Blankenship, the sister right here, sitting in her whip. Essence Magazine. Let's see what year this article is. Does it say? Man, they rude, man. They don't even put no date on here. Let's see. Oh, it's a updated March 22nd, 2024. Okay, so this 2024. Lowriders or customized vehicle that sit low to the ground. Lowrider is also a term for a person who drives these cars and takes part in clubs that meet around them. Tina Blankenship to them was the fact that they brought about a sense of calm for her. That was like my peaceful time, she tells Essence, of working on the vehicle. I just really found a love for it. I think mostly because of the peace of mind. She devoted hours of silent concentration to learning the ins and outs. The South Los Angeles native methodically studied everything about the cars. She pored over their wires in the garage that belonged to her best friend's father, learning all the ways to bring out their best. It's actually really hard to be a lowrider and not know anything about the cars because they do break a lot, she says. 20 years later, she sits at the head of the Supernatural Lowriders. I'm the first lady of my club, she says proudly. Her customized baby blue 1966 Caprice Chevy Caprice, nicknamed Game Killer, is constantly recognized by pedestrians. The Disruptors, Blankenship. She became the first woman inducted into the National Lowrider Hall of Fame in 2012. Blankenship for so many represents a shift in lowrider culture where women have gone from passenger princesses to dominating drivers, and it doesn't intimidate the men around them. She became the first woman inducted into the National Lowrider Hall of Fame. One thing that we can say, that we can observe, is that the National Lowrider Hall of Fame, they don't do their research. To honor these women, Blankenship included Modelo partner. To honor these women, Blankenship included Modelo partnered with the Motor Trend Group to publish a special one-off issue of the beloved Lowrider magazine featuring them and their cherished vehicles. I wonder if the original Lowriders were ever featured in that Lowrider magazine. I mean, was a piece ever done on the original Lowriders, Big Red and Berta Bell, their crew? This is Tina Blankenship. She has forged a bond with lowrider Sandy Avila, a fellow leader in the culture, and considers her like a little sister. I saw an interview that she did, and she said I was the one that inspired her. And actually, since then, we've become really good friends, she said with a smile. Intergenerational relationships are crucial to maintaining the lowrider community. If there's not another generation after my generation or her generation, then it's going to die, she says. Just like the knowledge and the respect for those who originated riding low. CBS News, lowriders shine in New Mexico after perceptions of the cars and their drivers shift. This is 60 Minutes. This is an updated version of a story first published on November 24th, 2024. 2024 is popular for these kinds of articles about lowriders. Again, just like the 1975 newspaper article that we went over, it seems as though a narrative is being created here. Or it's very clear that riding low has become a business. The idea of riding low has become a business, complete with glossy, pretty images. The Merriam-Webster dictionary defines lowrider as a customized car with a chassis that has been lowered so that it narrowly clears the ground. Lowrider also is used to describe the person driving such a vehicle, and both car and driver have long been potent cultural symbols, especially among Mexican Americans. See that? See that? Are the people who come from other places and come to the place that is termed the United States, is people gonna ever stop stealing our stuff? Are they gonna ever stop stealing the Americans' shit? Huh? Why is it such a normal thing that everybody come and take American Indian shit? You know why? Because it's a lot of Americans out there that don't know they're Americans. It's a lot of Americans that think they black. It's a lot of Americans that think they are black, and they think they descended from a slave. Or should I say, they comfortable with calling their ancestors slaves before they even tell you their name. See, the first time people steal from you, the first level of thieving is when they come from somewhere else and American becomes their surnation. I don't even really like the word nation, to be honest with you. But for purposes of this conversation, American becomes their surnation. Chinese American, Polish American, Italian American, Mexican American, Nigerian American. Ukrainian American, Russian American, African American. That perception is finally changing. And as we first reported last year, nowhere in the transformation more pronounced than in the lowrider hotbed of northern New Mexico. Epi Martinez. So the ride will be a little bit rough. Epi Martinez, that's what hydraulics is. It's, you know, on Good Friday 2024, we're cruising down Riverside Drive in Española, New Mexico, with Epi Martinez and his family in the 1953 Chevy Bel Air, his pride and joy. Martinez is leading a candy-colored caravan of cars from his Viejitos car club. Viejitos car club. That's old men in Spanish. Española calls itself the lowrider capital of the world. And on Good Friday, the Viejitos, were joined by lowriders from many other local car clubs for a chrome and tail-end celebration. What is that? Of their culture. So they come here and all of a sudden so they come here, acclimate to the culture and endeavor to take it. Among New Mexico's lowriders, Epi Martinez is known as the man who make cars do that. Those hydraulic pumps designed to operate aircraft flaps and landing gear are controlled by switches at the driver's seat. The Lubina Montoya. It's an expression of who you are, so it's kind of an extension of your personality. See, do you see what's happening here? Do you see the romance they're adding to it? It's romantic now. It's not just as Berta Bell said, when her and Big Red and they crew was riding low. That's it. Just riding low. Now it's an extension of your personality. It's who we are. It's how we dress. Patricia Trujillo is an Española, a Spanish native, Spanish native, a college professor and deputy cabinet secretary of New Mexico's Department of Higher Education. She told us the roots of the lowrider culture here stretch back to just after World War II. Patricia Trujillo says you had many Mexican Americans going into the army and then coming back and still being treated as second-class citizens. And so a lot of those people basically created this counterculture to be able to speak back and say, we belong here too. It's almost like a saunter or a swagger in vehicle form, right? Bill Whitaker says it's sort of like embracing the Americanness, the car culture, but making it your own and saying, I am part of America, but I'm not part of this mainstream. I am doing my own thing here. Sound familiar? Sound familiar? Chinese food restaurant? Hurry up and buy. Sound familiar? This is what people do. This is what people do. They come here and take your stuff and try to sell it back to you. Santa Fe is the capital of New Mexico and its artistic center. So when the city's mayor not only dropped the ban on cruising, but declared a lowrider day in 2016, Trujillo says cars slow rolled in by the hundreds. Patricia Trujillo says there was this real shift in culture. It's always culture. Now, we're speaking of people who term themselves Mexicans, but they're here in the soil portion that we call North America, or more specifically, the southern part of North America. Can't forget Canada. You know who I'm talking about. There was this real shift in culture in that moment of recognizing lowriders as an important part of our heritage, an important part of the artistry of our communities. And I really feel like that marked a new moment in New Mexico. What moment did it mark? That the important part of your heritage is actually someone else's culture. Joan and Arthur Medina, everyone calls him Lolo. Oh, everyone calls him Lolo now. I mean, just take it, slap it up, flip it, rub it down low, however you gonna do it. Personify the morphing of Lowrider's image in the Espanola Valley. She was in junior high school when they met more than 40 years ago. Bill Whitaker. Is it almost as simple as the original lowriders have just grown out of their rebellious ways? Whoa, 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 whoa. This is what we've been waiting for. This is what we've been waiting for. Good question. This is what we've been waiting for. Not that the question, the way it was put together was a good question. It's what is mentioned in the question. Is it almost as simple as the original lowriders? Now, after saying original, the response, the answer to his question should include the original lowriders, right? Is it almost as simple as the original lowriders have just grown out of their rebellious ways? Wait. Okay, sorry about that. False alarm. He said have just grown out of their rebellious ways. They not talking about Berta Bell and Big Red. They not talking about them. They talking about the rebellious ones who was stealing car radios and all that other type of stuff, putting the paraphernalia all over the car. Let's move on. Patricia Trujillo, she says, to answer his question, I wouldn't say they've grown out of rebellion. I think that they've redefined it, right? Why is she asking him a question again? In 2023, Sandoval got a grant from the DEA, yes, the Drug Enforcement Administration, for a project to build lowrider bicycles. It's all coming full circle now. A grant from the DEA for a project to build lowrider bicycles. See, some might see it as, hey, that's good. They're building bicycles, this and that and the third. Foreigners blessing foreigners. First of all, it gives them an opportunity to say, hey, I got to get to the teen center after school every Wednesday. They have to feel that they're valued in their role as the engineer, as the designer, as the planner, and all this stuff is to erase you. The finished bikes were so creative, so impressive. The prestigious Museum of Spanish Colonial Art in Santa Fe mounted a special exhibition to put them on display. Okay, this is the California Eagle newspaper, Los Angeles, California. The California Eagle newspaper, Los Angeles, California. Now remember, Berta Bell and Big Red. Berta Bell came up with the name Lowriders. Big Red, the original Lowrider. She came up with that in 1955, but again, Big Red had already been doing this thing. Okay. California Eagle newspaper, Los Angeles, California. Thursday, May 30th, 1957, 2 years after Berta Bell came up with lowriders. Riding low. Stolen car parts seized. Hot rod gang arrested. Police answering a call of man with gun Saturday evening found themselves in the midst of a gang of hot rodders banded together as the lowriders and unearthed a huge cache of stolen automobile parts. The officers called for reinforcements, and when 8 squad cars rolled up, they set about making arrests wholesale, netting a total of some 22 adults and 17 teenagers. All were booked on charges of burglarizing automobiles and disturbing the peace. The man with the gun, Robert Poole, 1429 East 53rd Street, however, was not one of those picked up by police. He said, I got sick and tired of these guys breaking my windows and throwing garbage on my porch, so I got a gun. The lowriders have their clubhouse at 1423 East 53rd Street. The mass of automobile parts was found in the home of Miss Dorothy Bell, 45, who was bedridden at 1433 East 53rd Street. And in the garage behind the house, Miss Bell said she knew nothing about the merchandise. Miss Bell. Remember, Berta Bell, mother-in-law. Her son, Charles Bell, 21, said to be the president of the club, I assume this is Big Red, was one of those arrested. He wanted to know, what are you booking me for? I have receipts for all of this stuff, and I can prove it. I don't know anything about that house wrecking last night. I wasn't in on it. Now, you would think they would say, let us see the receipts. At least, right? Police claim the gang has terrorized the neighborhood by vandalism against homes and cars of persons who complained against their actions. It says the goods in the house. It says police nab hot rod gang, seize stolen auto parts. We in 1957, okay? The goods in the house and the garage included dozens of carburetors, air cleaners, brake shoes, car radios, jacks and more jacks, fog lights, tires and more tires, spotlights, headlights, rims, and practically every type of accessory that is detachable. Among the adults arrested were James Edward Rogers, 24, employed by the Ward Construction Company, who admitted belonging to the club. Sure, I belong to the lowriders, he said. So what? I'm clean. Nathaniel David Ponder, 19, a shipping clerk. You don't have anything on me, he told police. I don't know what the hell's going on. I just came to a party. Earl Irvin Stovall, 19, street furniture maker. Earl Irvin Stovall, 19, furniture maker. I don't know what you guys want, he commented. We didn't do anything. We were going to have a party. Arthur B. Courtney, 26, employed by the Paul Segal Auto Company. I don't know anything. I just came over to see what was going on. Donald Jean Banks, 22, construction worker. I found those hubcaps on the trash pile somewhere in Pasadena, he said, referring to the hubcaps on his car. Police said they had been stolen in January from a car owned by Henry K. Adagian. A number of the other men admitted they belonged to the lowriders, adding, this is 1957, adding, so what? These included Freddie Robinson, 24, employed by the Consolidated Maintenance Company. Harvey Jean McLean, 23, a laborer. William Henry Walker, 23, also employed by the Consolidated Maintenance Company. Claude Ernest Moore, 20, a painter employed by Frank Snyder, and Danny Ralph Broussard, employed by Ludlow Brothers. And remember, Big Red said he had receipts, right? In old U.S. slang, low was a generic name for an Indian or the Indians. Do the right thing.